Most people wait for Apple products the wrong way. They hear rumors of a new model and hold off, only to spend months waiting for nothing. They gain no better price, no confirmed launch, and no extra value. They just lose time with the product. For the Apple TV, the question isn't just whether a 2026 model is coming. The better question is when waiting actually pays off, and when it costs you months of use for no reason. A timing model helps solve this. If you're deciding on an Apple TV right now, you're balancing two calendars. One is the product cycle, and the other is the deal cycle. The smart move happens where those two lines intersect. I'm fairly confident in reports of a new Apple TV in early 2026. It isn't confirmed, but the rumors are credible enough to factor into your decision. I'd call the impact of this refresh medium. While a new Apple TV matters for daily use, it won't redefine your experience the way a new iPhone might. The goal is to decide whether by now, wait 3 months, or wait for the actual launch. There's one specific buy before window that makes more sense than most realize. But first, look at the product cycle. Apple TV doesn't follow a rigid annual schedule. Since these gaps can be long and unpredictable, rumor timing matters more than habit. If a 2026 model is on track for early next year, we've reached the point where you can't ignore the next version. However, that doesn't mean buying the current one is a mistake. Buyers usually overreact when a product is nearing replacement. They either panic buy because they fear stock will run out, or they refuse to buy anything because they assume waiting is always smarter. The right answer is usually in the middle, based on 3 questions. First, how close are you to the expected refresh? Second, is the current model discounted enough to make the older hardware worth it? Third, how much value do you personally lose by waiting? That last part is often overlooked. If an Apple TV would fix a slow streaming setup or improve your smart home today, waiting isn't free. Delaying your purchase has a cost in months of use you'll never get back. That's why just wait is usually too simple. Now look at the second part of the model, deal cycles. A good discount can change the math, even as a new model gets closer. If a refresh is expected in early 2026, the current model can actually become more attractive if the price drops enough. With the current Apple TV, you're buying known performance and immediate use. You only give those up for whatever features the next model might add. That trade only works if the price compensates you. If the current model stays at full price while a refresh feels close, you should wait. But if discount appear, the question changes. You're now comparing a cheaper, proven device today against an unknown model later that will likely cost more. For many buyers, that's when the current hardware starts to make sense again. You should also watch for tightening inventory at retailers. This can signal a transition, but it isn't proof on its own. Use it as supporting evidence, not a reason to buy. The case for waiting only gets strong when 3 things happen at once. Timing signals get stronger, reputable reports agree, and inventory starts to shift. Without those 3 signals, buying on discount is easy to defend. To make this practical, let's look at the buy now timeline. Buy now makes sense if your current setup is frustrating enough that delaying has a real cost. It also works if you find a deep discount, or if you simply want a stable streaming box for the next few years and don't care about having the newest version. For that buyer, the current Apple TV is a rational choice for better reliability, AirPlay, and smart home integration. The downside of buying now is simple. If the current model isn't discounted and a refresh is near, you're taking all the risk with none of the reward. The second option is to wait 3 months. For most people, this is the most balanced path. A 3-month wait is long enough for rumors to sharpen, but short enough that you aren't sacrificing a full year of use. It gives reporters time to agree and gives retailers time to drop prices as inventory ages. This is also when deals become meaningful. For some buyers, a strong discount window is actually better than a launch window. If the next Apple TV has only minor changes or a higher price, the best value might be the outgoing model bought at the right moment. Waiting doesn't just help you get the next product. Sometimes it improves the value of the current one. The third option is to wait for the launch. This is the cleanest answer if you want the newest hardware, the longest software support, and the latest features. If that's your priority, the decision is easy. Just wait. The only reason not to wait is if you're holding out for improvements that won't actually change your experience. Most Apple TV buyers aren't looking for new designs. They want fast streaming, reliable apps, and a smooth ecosystem. If the next version only offers moderate gains in those areas, waiting for the launch is less attractive unless you simply prefer having the latest device. So, when is buying before the 2026 model actually smarter? It's during the discount window, right before launch expectations become firm. That is the sweet spot. It's not too early when prices are still high, and it's not too late when the launch is so obvious that waiting is the only move. This buy before window works because it hits 3 marks. You have enough info to know what features you're skipping. The price is low enough to make the trade worth it, and there's still enough uncertainty that the market hasn't fully reacted. That is when buying the current model is smarter than waiting. Here is the practical takeaway. If the Apple TV is at its normal price, wait. If you definitely want the newest model, wait. If multiple reliable sources converge on a launch date, wait. But if a major discount appears before that launch window locks in, buying the current model makes more sense than people think, especially if you plan to keep it for years. My verdict is this. Wait if you want the newest tech. Buy if a strong discount opens in that pre-launch window. For most people, the default move right now should be to wait. Buying at the wrong point in the cycle is how you end up paying too much for aging hardware. 3 things would change that: clearer signals on event timing, reputable outlet agreeing on a date, or a major price drop on the current model. If the launch date sharpens, waiting is easier to justify. If the discount gets deeper while the new model is still unconfirmed, buying is easier to defend. This model is more useful than vague advice because it tells you exactly what you're waiting for. You should now see yourself in one of 3 groups. Buy now only with real discount, wait 3 months for better info, or wait for the launch because you want the newest version. That is the difference between waiting strategically and waiting blindly. This Sunday, I'll bring all of this together. The state of the 2026 Apple TV, the latest confidence levels, and the final buyer's guide.